guess we'll start then. Hi, I'm Lorraine Lisball with the School of Business Undergraduate Career Development Office, and we are delighted to have you here this evening. I would like to thank Target for making this event possible. Through the Target Campus Grant, they fund a lot of special events for us and such, and allow us to bring in fine speakers and have different events. It's wonderful. Target Campus Grants provide financial support to programs to develop and influence potential target leaders. Grants directly impact important areas such as academics, education, diversity, inclusion, leadership development, and health and well-being and volunteerism. Education is at the heart of Target's giving. I'd like to introduce two members from Target. We have Jenna Glass, who is a store manager. She's referred to as a Target store team leader, but that's a store manager. And her stories were amazing, listening to her talk about opening up. Her first job out was opening up an entire store and hiring 200 new employees. It was absolutely fascinating. And then we have Stephanie Barante, who, am I saying that correctly?
Burn.
Excuse me. Thank you. And she's executive team leader for human resources with Target, and also has a lot of in-store experience. And I'd like to extend appreciation also for Renee Gardner, because I know she'll be seeing this film. Senior field campus recruiter. She was very helpful and instrumental in getting the Target grant. So please join me in thanking Target for making this possible. And then I'll introduce Kathy, because I knew you wanted to say this.
Yeah, no, sure. So we are also part of the campus recruiting team. So we did bring some Target information, and then you'll see 3 lovely Target dogs on the table. But at the end, if you want to talk to either of us about any potential future of Target, we do internships. We start off with what we call an executive team leader assignment, which would be your first role out of college at a Target store. And then there's also obviously headquarters if you feel like we live in Minnesota, but we can help answer any of those questions you have. And then for the 3 first questions we have for our lovely guest here, we'll get a Target dog. So make sure you start thinking of your questions. And the back of the dog has a website that gives you everything you know about Target careers. So that's also a great place to go and to look. So
Wonderful. Thank you, Jen.
no problem.
Okay, this evening's presentation is Everyday Leadership, Motivating the Leader in You. And Kathy McAfee is a professional speaker. She does a lot of work as a businesswoman, philanthropist, and is known as being America's marketing motivator. Works with a lot of companies, and matter of fact, she's telling us about Lego tonight, and doing marketing
presentations, and
skills training with Lego. Her mission is to inspire business and community leaders to use more of their energy, influence, and resources to create positive change in the world. An executive presentation coach and certified master practitioner in neuro-linguistic programming, Kathy helps her clients to become recognized leaders in their professional fields by mastering the arts of high engagement, presentations, and more effective networking. Please welcome Kathy McAfee.
I want to start off with a little word association, which means I say a word and then you give me whatever pops into your mind. Okay? Leadership. First thought in your mind. What's that? Obama. Excellent. What else? Pops in your mind. Leadership.
Robin Sharma.
Say it again.
Robin Sharma.
Robin Sharma. Okay. Who else? Or what else? Concepts, people, leadership. CEO.
Anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it. Motivator.
Follow us.
Follow us. Okay. Leader. Possibility. Leading.
By example.
By example. Excellent. Inspirational.
With purpose.
With purpose. Excellent. Inclusive. A lot of wonderful associations with leadership, leading, and leader. And I really did, of course, love the fact that it could be any of us. We don't have to be the President of the United States, the CEO of Target, the head of UConn. You know, we can lead. And that's what this whole class tonight, this discussion really, is to start to find that leader in you, whether you already have it firmly established or you're still looking for that leader quality in you, and start to give it an avenue to be expressed, to be nurtured, to be developed, to be exercised like a muscle. Okay? So a lot of times when you have any kind of skill or thought about yourself, it takes a lot of courage and practice and routine and opportunity, like internships at Target, to gain the experience to shape that leader in you. All right, so we're going to talk about those things tonight. And as I mentioned earlier, we are going to do some polling with the cool website, Poll Everywhere. So if you have your smartphone or if you have a laptop, you'll be able to punch in a code and vote your opinions on a couple questions that I'd like to pose. And I believe I have my first question on slide 2. Let's see if I can figure this out. There we go. This always happens. This is the hardest part of the presentation. Okay, walk over and press button. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to start with a quote, and then I'm going to ask you in the poll who said this quote first. All right? If your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. What a fabulous quote. So your first poll is who is the author of this quote. So if you were using a text, you would punch in the number 22333 to be on the polling site. If you're on a laptop, it's pollev.com/Kathy McAfee 212. And actually, if you're watching this video now, which I'm not sure if that's possible, you too could vote. If it's after the event, I'm not sure the votes will actually register. So it's all you live in the room. So is it former President John Quincy Adams, Michael Jackson, the beloved late Michael Jackson? I think I meant to write Lady Gaga, but Lady Diva showed up on my screen here. Dolly Parton, Oprah Winfrey, Kathy McAfee, Robin Williams, the late great comedian, or none of the above. So place your votes. All right, we're coming in live here. Got one, none of the above. There's other people out there in the past and present that could have said this. Dolly Parton and Oprah are leading the pack. Everybody in? Oh, Lady Diva. Is there a Lady Diva? Yeah, I punched in Diva. Somebody came up with a big pink boa. I thought it was her, but anyways, I thought it was Gaga. All right, so right now, we got a lot of votes, a lot of different opinions, but it looks like Oprah is the leading potential author for this quote. It is, in fact, Dolly Parton. How many of you know Dolly Parton there, know of her? Okay, great country singer, actress, wonderful performer. And originally when I had used this quote in this presentation, it was, is it working, Kathy?
No.
Okay, all right. It was,
You want me to flip it for you?
oh, that'd be awesome. I love that assistance. It was John Quincy Adams. And I thought, let me just check my facts before I go in front of 100, 200 people and quote John Quincy Adams. And on some of the internet research, there was a thought that John Quincy Adams would have never expressed it in that way during that time. That wasn't the way they spoke. So then as I researched more and more, it got credited to Dolly Parton. I thought, all right, you go, Dolly. You go, girl. All right. So let's hit our next slide, if we will. We are going to talk about this next question. I first knew that I was a leader when? So I want you just to think about that right now. Pose that question to yourself, and our next poll will come up. Beautiful assistant. Was it when someone told you that you were a leader? Was it when you had an experience that you went, wow, I'm leading? Have you always known? Were you just born a leader and you've known intuitively that this is your destiny, you have this quality? Or perhaps you haven't yet discovered this about yourself. So cast your vote.
Such a big program.
Isn't that a fun program? All right. So experience is leading the way. Some discovery yet to happen. Votes are still coming in live, the poll. Who will win the nomination? All right. Very interesting. Everybody in? So by and large, this group has had some kind of experience prior to today. Could have been in school, at a job, in the community, even in the home, where suddenly it dawned on you that you were leading and you actually were gaining leadership experience. Now, for me, I was in the top button. Someone had to tell me. And so I'll tell you a short story. I started from age 4. I was entered into dance classes because I guess I was kind of rough and loud, and my mom thought maybe a little ballet would be good for me, and let's give her a little tap dance because she is kind of, precocious. So there I am taking these dance classes. I'm 4 to 8, that was my span. And I came home one day and I was very frustrated because the instructor, the teacher, we were taking classes in her home with all these cute little kids running around, she would always yell at me. She would correct me. You're doing it wrong. It's not shuffle, ball, change. It's heel, tap, heel, toe. Whatever the instruction was, but I always got it wrong and she was always on me. Out of all the girls in the class, there were no boys, sadly. That would have been a lot of fun. All the girls in class, she is constantly picking on me. So you imagine my good confidence at 4, 5, and 6 is starting to get worn down, and I'm thinking of quitting, right? Because this is badgering. This is not fun anymore. So I went home to my mom and I said, in whatever way I expressed it, I don't like it. She's mean to me. She's always correcting me. And my mom, being very strategic and knowing how a 6-year-old mind works, she says, of course she is, because you're the leader. All the other girls are looking to you, and if you get it wrong, then they'll get it wrong. So she knows she has to make sure that the leader gets it right, because all the other girls will follow you. I'm suddenly thinking, I'm the leader. I'm the leader of the tech dance team. Yeah, leadership skill. And I think I actually stood up a little straighter. I went back in, I could take it more, and it was a whole different way of looking at the situation. So really at age 6 is when someone first told me, and then I decided that I was a leader. And then I constantly looked at every opportunity through the lens of leadership. How am I leading? How could I lead? Do I need to follow? What needs to happen here from a leadership point of view? Even so much so when I was in high school, this won't surprise many of you, but I was a song leader, a cheerleader with the pom-poms, right, a dancer. And so that's how it was expressed. That was my athleticism, that was my team. And I noticed something, 2 stories back to back here. I noticed something interesting about the way that the whole cheerleading thing went. The cheerleaders only went to the boys' sports, and they only went to the football and the major sports, right? Basketball, football. Nobody else got any attention. Field hockey, forget about it. Soccer, what's that? Right? I think that's football in Europe. Women's sports, girls' sports, who has time for that? So with that leadership mindset, I sat down with my partner, my pom-pom friend, who, by the way, I'm going to see next week after not seeing her for 15 years. I'm very excited for our reunion. And we wrote the Spirit Constitution. We actually kind of thought like, Jefferson and all those founding fathers and said, let's write something that says we are here to support all sports, all people, regardless of gender, regardless of type of activity. We're here to be the great encouragers of our colleagues at this high school. And so we literally changed our operating procedures, our manual, and we started showing up. 2 or 3 of us started showing up to cheer on these other games and sports. So again, you may have had a similar experience. You challenge a thought, you challenge a behavior, and suddenly things start to shift. Leadership in action. So it started for me, someone that told me, but then it quickly went into experience. So those are my 2 stories. I'm wondering if anyone here would be brave enough to come up and tell their leadership story when they first knew. And I don't know, maybe you might go home with one of these very cool dogs. Anybody want to come up? Why don't you come on down? Give her a round of applause for bravery.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to link together.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I feel like I'm pretty loud.
You need it for the camera.
Oh, okay, sorry. Hi, everyone, I'm Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
So anyone that knows me, so pretty much everyone I work with, would know that I'm usually like a really loud, really just kind of enthusiastic person all the time. But when I was younger, I was the shyest person you would ever meet. Like I would cry walking to class because I didn't want to like talk to other people. Like it was really bad.
You come along with me.
And now I'm up here. So one day, I think it was like 4th grade or something, my best friend sat me down and she was like, listen, you need to stop doing this. Like, you need to be strong. Like, you need to be a rock. Like, you have to be a leader. Like, you can do this. And from that moment on, like, it totally changed.
Awesome. So when you think of leadership, rock is a metaphor, solid as a
Yeah.
rock. Awesome. All right. How about a wonderful party of love? Congratulations. That's a great story. Excellent. So again, someone really calling you to the table. And it's interesting that you should bring up the personality types, being really outgoing and extroverted and being very shy and introverted. I'm here to tell you that no matter what your personality style, you can lead. And in fact, if we looked at leaders, historical leaders, corporate leaders, governmental leaders, they come in all different personality types. You do not have to be a raging extrovert to lead. That is a myth and a kind of a cultural thing that is being perpetuated by us extroverts who want it all. All right, let's see what's on the next slide. All right, so the question is, what does everyday, let's add the word everyday leadership mean to you? What does it look like to you? What does it feel like to you? Anybody want to share their thoughts? And I think we've got 2 more dogs left, right? Anybody want to give me maybe your definition of what everyday leadership is? Okay, you want to come down just for exercise, really? Because I know you sit a lot at school, right? Yeah, you guys are walking all over miles. I noticed when you walked in, you had that great teal shirt. You have a little bit of presence going on. And I didn't see these great legs. This is great. Okay, come on.
So I think everyday leadership means like we have a choice that we can make every single day. So we don't need to have a title to actually do something that is required. For example, if let's say we are in a project group, we can always take an initiative to do something for someone or to lead the discussion without saying that, oh, you're the leader, that's why you need to do this. So, I mean, there's a choice that we can make every single day. So,
Fantastic.
everyday leadership also means that we lead our own lives, so we are responsible for the things that we do. Yeah.
As easy as leading a discussion. Very good.
Yes.
All right, which dog is calling you? Which dog do you want? Target. Is his name Spot? Is his name Spot? Does he have
Bullseye.
Bullseye. Excellent. All right. Make sure you walk him too. He's got a lot of energy. Okay, so let me just tell you a little definition, which actually you did a beautiful job of highlighting what my key message is. And of course, I did this in animation, so it's going to be a pain in the butt. So you have to touch it one more time. Then probably 2 are going to come up. Let's see what happens. Never do this in your slides. Oh, we missed it. Go back one. There we go. Here we go. Perfect. Beautiful. All at once. Leadership is not reserved for just the CEO, what we call the C-suites, the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, CAO, Chief Administrative Officer, COO, Chief. It's not just for those C fellows and gals. It is for everyone. It's for everyone, including you, who has a potential for and responsibility to lead. So it's kind of like that Spider-Man movie. It is a responsibility as well. You just need to cultivate and motivate the leader within you. All right, so that is the inspiring message. But wait, there's more. Next slide. So we're going to break up the rest of the talk into these 3 buckets. We're going to talk about how you lead you, because if you can't lead you, you have no business leading anybody else or any organization. So in fact, leading yourself is the hardest work you're ever going to do for the rest of your life. Once you master that or you commit to that, then you can start leading the organization, the business, the group, the store, however you define your enterprise or your world. And then finally, once you kind of figure out how that works, then you start working on leading others. Some people just like to jump to, I'm leading others, I'm the leader, follow me, but yet they have no understanding of the business or the environment, and they're not even leading themselves. So why should we follow that kind of leader? But a lot of them will just go right to step 3. So I'm going to share with you 3 things in each of these buckets. So let's hit the first one, which might be another poll. Is it giving you a little trouble there, Kathy?
Maybe.
There you go. So lead yourself. We'll go one more. Little transition slide. Okay, so another poll. So we're going to talk about self-awareness as a first step in leading yourself, which again is a lifetime commitment. So how self-aware are you? So your choices are, I know my strengths. Hit that number if you know your strengths. You can vote for multiple things too. It's kind of cool. You know your blind spots. I know what I know. I know what I don't know. I know who I am. I have a lot to learn about myself. So again, you can vote more than once. So how self-aware are you? You can get a free account on Poll Everywhere, but you can only poll up to 40 people. So I will say that with the generosity of my client Pfizer down in Groton, they have an R&D facility, they're letting me use their account because I thought we might have, up to 100 people, so I wanted to make sure. But you can get a Poll Everywhere account for 40 polling. Okay, so votes are in. So a fair amount of humility and honesty and realism here at your young stage of life. And you know what, I would vote here. I have a lot to learn about myself. Absolutely. It is a lifetime journey. I love the folks that know what you don't know, which is kind of like, how do you know what you don't know if you don't know? So there's so much out there that we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. Okay, now I'm getting lost there. Some of you know your strengths, you know your blind spots, you know who you are. This is all good. Let me share a story again, a college story, when I became a little bit more self-aware, and I would not have ever really admitted this to myself or even thought this about myself. I went to Stanford University out in Northern California, and about this time, well, first of all, it's one of those colleges, and maybe like UConn, where you get in and you constantly look around you going, why did they pick me? Everyone here is so much smarter than me. I must be some kind of fluke. So I spent my first 3.5 years second guess why admissions even brought me in, which, believe me, is a waste of time. You're in, make the most of it. Now your job is to get out. So at one point in my, why am I here, I am not worthy thinking, there had been a whole slew of rapes on campus, which is in the news again. And I became very fearful, and I just decided I am leaving this place. I don't want to be at a place that's risky, that's dangerous. I went to my career counselor and I said, I am checking out. I'm going to a safer place. I want out of Stanford. I cannot tolerate this violence against women. And he said to me, you're afraid. You're too afraid. You're afraid you're not going to make it. And I was indignant. Like, how dare you? How dare you say I'm afraid? I mean, this is a real thing, right? This isn't about me being afraid. This is about a real threat on campus. But yet, he nailed it. Because I was afraid. I was afraid I wasn't good enough. I was afraid I couldn't compete with my colleagues. I was afraid I couldn't graduate. In fact, to this day, I still have nightmares that I didn't get all 180 credits to graduate, and that someone's going to find out. It's like this big facade. I actually got 181 credits, and I walked through the line. I got out. And it has served me well to go to a good university like you are here. So sometimes when people give you that feedback, even if it's really shocking and you disagree, it might be something you need to take a look at. So next slide. This brings in the topic, to become more self-aware, feedback is an awesome tool. And you have to be constantly seeking it, evaluating it, incorporating it, and sometimes giving it. But there is an art to feedback. Feedback is, by the way, an advanced form of communication, and it is a two-way communication. So when your professors are giving you feedback, sometimes they're grading your papers, that's feedback, right? You have feedback to give to them. So it's a conversation. It's never just kind of one way. So next slide, I've been doing some writing on feedback on my blog, marketingmotivator.net. The last 2 weeks, I've done one on the strategies for giving and receiving feedback. I notice sometimes when people receive feedback, they close up their body language. They kind of, literally, they'll cross their arms, they'll furrow their brows, they'll turn away. They're protecting themselves from what they don't want to hear. So whenever you're receiving feedback, you have to be aware that you got to open up your body language so that you can receive, right? So there's a little 5-point strategy I wrote for giving feedback and receiving feedback. And this is the program I actually gave at Pfizer, Everyday Feedback. There's the theme, Everyday Leadership, Everyday Feedback for high performance teams. But we discovered in the workshop, this was so cool with their help, that there's another thing that has to happen. How do you ask for feedback? And that's even trickier. And what I'm getting a lot of feedback from my clients, that young professionals, folks in your generation, early career folks are constantly asking for feedback. In fact, some of my clients say it's getting to be a little too much. Please just work. But you want to learn how to ask for feedback so that you can get quality feedback that you can use. All right? And a lot of times people are doing feedback on Facebook, on Twitter, and you're throwing it out there to people you don't even know. And they're giving you feedback, and that's not qualified feedback. You don't know them. There's no relationship. They don't know the context in which you're trying to grow. So if you're interested, you can read the articles. That was last week, and the one that's above that is the secret for asking for feedback that you can use. So if you want to lead yourself, the first bucket is be more self-aware, and feedback is one of your tools. Next slide. All right. The next thing is to be professional at all times. Okay, professionalism. And I've been kind of watching some of the images. I know there's a lot going on. We'll look at some horrible things from Facebook and really career breakers. People are losing jobs by things they're doing on social media. But even on LinkedIn, just not showing up professionally there. So I captured this one. It's hard for you to see. It's a young woman. She is in an evening gown. It could be a prom, a wedding. She looks very glamorous. But guess what? LinkedIn is not a nightclub. So she's got the wrong image that she's projecting out to the world, and people can start to go, ooh, I'd like to date her, or ooh, they just don't, she's not positioning herself professionally, and this is a professional website, network. The next one, if you hit it, LinkedIn is also not for couples, one more hit, a little hard, but people showing, I'm with him, he's with me, we're a couple. Your LinkedIn profile is you, it's your career, it's your CV, it's your potential. It's not your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, son, daughter, horse. So even the pictures that you project on professional sites like LinkedIn, when you go to do that now, I want you to dress like that handsome young man in the back row who's looking, he's probably trying to vote the next time. We're talking about you. Okay, we'll work on that with him later. But you want to actually take a photo that projects you in the future. So if you're pursuing some kind of leadership job, a store manager job, a psychiatrist job, you want to take an image of yourself that I can see that future. Another quick story. My son was needing counseling, and they had set him up with this young woman at a local, center, and I went to look her up, and she was on LinkedIn. And the image of her was a cap and gown graduating. And guess what? She was an intern. And this is the mother bias, right? But I don't want my son who's struggling to be put with the rookie who's an intern, and her cap and gown picture just said it all. I went, she is just starting. She doesn't know anything. And that was an assumption. I might be dangerously wrong on that. But you want to use your professionalism, both the professional image that you portray on social media. Next slide. So now let's get a little bit, you may not be able to see this, and it could be good. We are not playing this video, but here is Lisa Nova. She has 2,200,000 plus hits on her YouTube video, and her personal brand is the Twitter whore. And if you watch her videos, and actually I'm going to encourage that you not watch, that you don't support her in this, she is setting herself up for a very interesting career and brand and reputation. So, and maybe that's what she wants to do when she grows up, and she's well on her way. But I don't want you to use those kind of language, that kind of positioning, even putting videos, anything compromising out there on social media. It's not professional. You're not leading yourself, and it is permanent and public, and there is no going back. And the fine folks at Target, when they go to look at your application, they're going to be checking you out online. And if something like this comes up, you're not going to want Lisa Nova running a store. Okay? Comment.
What if we have other artistic skills like dancing or something that we post on social media that we get a lot of uploads from professional people like our professors or something during the cultural groups?
Yeah, I mean, if it's cultural and there's, yes, I would say if it's part of who you are, and again, maybe this is part of who she is, and I'm being very judgmental. Maybe this is legit, I don't know. But yes, I would say just make sure that it's done. Think about leading yourself and being as professional as you can. and putting whatever bits and pieces out there about you that really are what you want people to know you as. Think about your future employers, think about your future colleagues, think about your future father-in-law, okay? Because all this stuff is leading to your professional, personal brand that's gonna be out there. All right, one more, and this is an article that was on Money Magazine, 10 social media blunders that cost a millennial a job or worse. And you read about this all the time. So I want you to be really mindful. And again, think about all your social media activities. It's so easy to go upload, post, take a compromising picture, boom, and you're compromising your leadership and potentially your future. So lead yourself, self-aware, be professional. Last bucket in the lead yourself is attitude. So what does it say? Someone, can you read that for me, nice and loud?
Bad attitude is like a flat tire. If you don't change it, you'll never go.
Excellent. A bad attitude is like a flat tire. If you don't change it, you won't go anywhere. All right? As you lead yourself, we all have different attitudes. They kind of come and go, you know, during the day, depending on what happens and what we've been eating, and did we get enough sleep. But there's something powerful about a positive attitude. And there's so much negativity in this world that it's actually kind of contagious. You start watching negative movies, negative videos, violence, you open the newspaper, you open anything, it's all a very heavy, dark world. So I'm going to suggest that as part of leading yourself, that you spread positivity, that you try to get yourself into a positive mode and help others do that as part of leading yourself. So we have an exercise here today. I believe we have a screen here. I have a very good friend named Sandy Centurino. She's a serial entrepreneur. She's a woman my age, has 2 adult daughters in college, and can create amazing things out of just her ideas. So her latest company, her enterprise, which is a for-profit social enterprise, is called Say It Forward. And she is intended, with her 2 daughters as the co-founders, of spreading positivity one card at a time. So I'll just show up, and our 2 ladies are gonna go ahead and pass these around. They're gonna pass these around, and I want you to take, just randomly take 2. Okay, so these are the little cards. She wants people exchanging these cards, having conversations, bringing smiles. And what we're gonna do, as you randomly take 2, I want you to pick one of those 2 that just calls to you. One that you can relate to, one that you like, one that maybe you want to argue. All right? And in a moment, we're going to do a little spreading positivity with a little networking exercise where I want you to get up, stretch your legs, and I want you to kind of eyeball someone in the room that you don't know yet. Not the chaps and chapettes that you're sitting next to each other. But get out, go out of your comfort zone, and meet someone new. So here's the way it's going to go. We're going to, in fact, Lorraine, why don't you come up? We'll just do a quick demonstration. So did you get 2?
I have to.
Ah, okay. So kind of just pick one. All right. So I would come up and I would say, hi, I'm Kathy.
I'm Lorraine.
Lorraine, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Excellent. So what kind of positivity do you have there?
Count your nights by stars with smiles, not tears.
What does that mean to you?
Well, thought about it for about 5 seconds. And
Fair enough.
Fair enough. And I suppose if you're looking out at the night sky and you see the immensity of it all and the stars in the heavens, you took the time to count your blessings, would be very positive and meditative. And you count the smiles that you see every day versus the anger and the tears. If you count the smiles instead, you feed them inside you.
You know, it's really interesting because just the other night I went outside and I looked up and I realized I hadn't looked at the stars in probably, I don't know, a week or 2. I'd been so head down on the project. I hadn't gone outside to get fresh air. And I think it's really a good reminder of being in this big universe and how that can lift you. Well, mine's interesting. It says, beauty in things exists in the mind which contemplates them. That's very heady. David Hume, beauty in things exists in the mind that contemplates them. It's kind of a more elegant way of saying beauty is the eye of the beholder.
Right.
But how often do we, in fact this year, we had a lot of peaches on our peach tree. I mean, I'm talking loaded. And every time I pulled down a peach, each one was so remarkably different and beautiful. And I found myself staring at these peaches thinking to myself, I gotta get them before the raccoons do, all right? But even so, we can share, there's enough to go around. Even something as simple as a peach on a tree, with its defects, right? We don't spray, it's organic. It was really beautiful.
Certainly.
So really nice
Very
to
nice.
share some
It's a pleasure.
positivity. Excellent,
Pleasure.
great. All right, so maybe yours goes like that, maybe it goes something different, but someone will share their quote, ask about it, and then turn it over. Now share your quote and ask about it. Any questions on this little exercise? I'm gonna give you 3 minutes to do this. I'm gonna put a little kitchen timer on, not a smartphone timer, a kitchen timer. All right, so get up, find a buddy, exchange some positivity. That's right, guys. And Stephanie and Jennifer are also available.
I'm size is pretty short and sweet because you're amazing. Yeah, that one it doesn't. Yeah, you don't really think about it, but it like feel good, right? Those things are like it's not easy.
I can get that. They just joined us. Yes. Cycle overs are penalties. Yeah, so that's all good.
Ours are pretty straight.
Oh, if you're done already, you can go talk to someone else. You want to exchange the second card, you can talk about that.
Here's something you should think about it. Like you see like just because he's not. Yeah,
Okay, you will have a seat. I cut that a little short because you guys are spreading positivity really rapidly. So how was that experience? Okay, could you imagine having that with other people in your class or student union or your dorms? You are welcome to keep these cards. Let me show you her website. It is sayitforward.me. She's so cool with her URLs. So this is her website. She crowdsources the quotes. So if you want to quote yourself, you have something you've been saying forever, or your parents have been saying, or your favorite aunt, you could go to Join the Movement, create a card. Okay, create a card by using your quote, your name, your email, the author of the quote. It could be anonymous, or it could be you, or it could be a book that you're reading, and just something pops up, and you want to put it out there in the world. I do this. I'm probably her most frequent crowdsourcing source. So I'll put in a quote, 2, 3 a day. And then what she does is she collects them all. When she's ready for a big print run, she'll pick the best quotes. And she's starting to do different collections. I know she's doing a cancer survivor collection. So she's just someone, a very cool person, again, with her daughters, trying to change the world one card at a time by spreading positivity, not negativity. And I think she's a fine example of truly leading herself. Okay, let's go back. We're going to go to the next bucket, which is leading the organization. Next poll, here it is. Imagine yourself joining a new organization, you know, first day, first week, first month on the job. What's the best way to get up to speed? How do you learn about the business? Choices. Ask a lot of questions. Read the P&L statements. Tweet about it or read the tweets. Informational interviewing with your colleagues across the organization. Read the annual report. Schmooze with the leaders. You can vote more than once, I believe. Watch YouTube videos about the organization and their leaders. All of the above. So we'll give a little time to cast your vote. Okay, everyone in. So it looks like all of the above is a popular choice, followed by asking a lot of questions, looking at some of the financials, meeting with people, interviewing them, all excellent ways that you can get up to speed. It's not just, what's my project, what's my job, who are my teammates. I want you to be business curious. I want you to go to school on the new organization. As if you were a consultant or an investor. How do you make money? How does this thing work? What's this business all about? What are the values of this organization? What are the challenges? I mean, imagine an intern shows up at Target and starts asking these questions, but then really is curious about it and wants to find out. In particular, I think it's really essential, School of Business, you figure out that organization's business model. How does it make money? Even if it's nonprofit, it still has money coming in and money going out. Looking at the money side, the resource side of any organization will tell you a lot about what the priorities are, where, what's going to make or break the organization, where you potentially could add value. But then there may be other areas, and informational interviewing is one of my favorite things to do. Even if you're changing career paths, if you're inside an organization, you become like the journalist and you're taking someone out, you're asking the questions because you want to learn, you're curious, and they're getting to tell their story. It's a wonderful way to build a relationship and to really learn. So might be something you want to do in those first 100 days of your internship or your new job. You've got to get up to speed. It's not just finding the bathroom, the cafeteria, and how much vacation do I get? It's you've got to learn the business, because if you don't learn the business, you cannot lead the business. All right, job one, you got to learn the business. All right, number two, and I think we have a slide to this, is building relationships. So this image is from my book, Networking Ahead for Business. I probably should add a few up here for giveaway with when we run out of the dogs, the Target dogs. This is an idea that you are growing a global network. When you network like you just did, which is basically talking to someone you don't know, establishing a connection, maybe helping each other, building a relationship over time, over that course, over the semester, over the summer, next year, after you graduate. There's going to be some relationships here at UConn that are going to follow you for the rest of your life. You're potentially sitting in the room with your future business partner, right? So you want to cultivate relationships as part of leading the business, leading the organization. So there's you. And by the way, we all have uniquely rare and distinctive networks, because at the center of every network is a unique person, you, okay? From you is what I call your top 50 contacts, the people who are closest to you, the people who know you the best, who care about you the most, who are positioned to help you, and sometimes those are your parents, your advisors, your teachers, your brothers. They can be family members. I actually fuse personal and professional network. It does not have to be separate. So these are the people, these are the relationships you're going to over-invest in, you're going to keep up with. And whenever you have a problem, an opportunity, a question, you go to these people first, if they don't get to you first. So you want to develop, not a million contacts, but you do want this inner circle, right? You got to cultivate your inner circle. I call it top 50. The next sphere, your sphere of influence, is your active network. Everyone in this room, everyone in your dorm, everyone in your neighborhood, everyone you come in contact with on a regular basis. Some of us walk through those spheres. We don't say hello. We may know their face. We may know their dog. We never get to know them. It is a huge opportunity to build a relationship with people that you see often, and you don't have to get on a plane to get to know, right? So cultivate your active networks. Build those relationships. There are also, all of us have our past network, our lost network. People we went to elementary school with, people we live next door to, cousins we haven't seen in a long time. There was a divorce in the family, and I have not actually seen my cousin in over 30 years. We actually are connected on Facebook, but she's not quite ready to really re-engage, but I know where she is now. So at some point, I'm gonna wanna say, hey, Julie, come see me. Let's reconnect, let's start up again, if she's ready and I'm ready. So you can, particularly after you graduate, if you stay in touch with the Alumni Association, you can keep those relationships going so they don't become lost. but sometimes some of them do. People just kind of go missing on you. And then you have your future network. This is a really exciting prospect. All the people you want to meet, that you want to get to know. By the way, here's a quick story. I have one of my longest friendship of my life, a woman by the name of Nancy. We grew up in a little cul-de-sac together. She's 2 months older than I am, and she's an amazing relationship maintainer. Loyal is a part of her personal brand. So I have never, ever lost touch with Nancy. And she was telling me a story over the weekend where she, as a kind of her hobby, she does antiquing. And one of her antique partners is this woman who's married to this really nice guy named Bill. And oh, by the way, Bill is the CEO of Agilent Technologies. His name is Bill Sullivan, nice silver-haired guy, real gentleman. And she and this woman, his wife, are very close partners. So I am helping her strategize about her job search. And I'm like, hello, CEO of Agilent Technologies, and you're in PR, let's make that happen. And so through her relationship, someone in her active, if not her top 50, introduced her to her husband. Her husband, Bill, handed her a business card at an antique fair and said, here's my card, call me, I'd love to get together. I'm like, my friend Nancy goes, but I don't have an elevator pitch. I'm like, who needs an elevator pitch? You just got an invitation to go have lunch with the CEO. Yeah, baby. So we did put Bill on her future target, and now she's making it happen really quickly. So there might be a leader that you want to connect with, might be just an interesting person. I would encourage you not to go seeking Oprah or fame and fortune. You know, set your targets to kind of people who are not highly, stalked, that they may want to help you, and always remember you can help these people too. You have something to give. But this is how you grow your network. Now you can do this online, right? You can have people all over every continent, boom, boom, boom. And the more numbers you have on Facebook friends and your LinkedIn contacts and your Twitter followers, you're feeling pretty powerful. But those are just numbers. Those are not relationships. Relationships take a lot more work. And if you want to grow influence and have people who really have your back and can pave the way and open doors for you, it is hand-to-hand relationship building. And so think about it in terms of leading the organization. You've got to build relationships across the organization. You have to extend yourself. You have to be having lunch, shaking hands, having conversations, instead of just sending them messages. Make that human connection. And the result is you build your sphere of influence, which helps you lead the organization. Last point under lead the organization is 5 minutes. We only have 4 things to go through, so we're good. We're going to speed it up, okay? Anybody okay staying late? Okay, maybe not. All right, here's a little fun little graphic. She says, my current salary is just not cutting it. A lot of times when you're leading an organization, not a lot of times, this is just the way it works. You've got to put in the sweat equity. You've got to do the work before you can get the next promotion. And I have a good client named Dulcie. She works at a UTC company, runs a bunch of engineers, and she just let me have it the other day. She said, all they say to me is, when's my next promotion? When can I be director? She's like, hello, in 4 years when you prove that you know what the heck you're doing? So we love the ambition, and maybe this is the generations just kind of trying to figure each other out. So keep the hustle, keep the ambition, yes, but be willing to put in the time to earn the right, to get the knowledge, the experience, to be able to take the lead on the business, okay? So you just have to kind of be a little more patient in how you do that. All right, we're gonna whip through leading others, which is the 4th dimension. Next slide. Leading others, the first point is effective communication. Communication mastery. If you can't communicate with people, you're gonna have a hard time having them follow you or leading them. So I would like you to study this gentleman, UCLA professor, Albert Moravian. He developed through his research on a college campus the 7-38-55% rule of communication, which is all about the meaning that people take away from your communication, not just influenced by what you say, that's the 7%, it's how you say it, 38, and what they see you say, if you will, visual communication, when we are face to face. I would love UConn to update this research, because now that we have all these new mediums of communicating, I think all three levers, the words, the voice, and the body language, all play in, even in email and texting has body language, right? People misunderstand it. But perhaps the percentages are a little bit different. So go to school on this, become a student of communication. I don't care if you're an engineer, a psychiatrist, a business owner, sports medicine, whatever you're gonna do, communication is something you gotta know. And that's how other people will follow you. All right, next one, and this may be our last one. How many of you have seen the Derek Sievers TED video, How to Start a Movement? And why don't we could we turn the lights down? Okay, so he's gonna show you, it's very funny, it's 3 minutes. It will be our closing talk. I'll have just a final bow I wanna wrap around it. But there are leadership lessons in this. So you'll be entertained, yes, but I want you to look and listen for his message about leading others. All right, so I have to switch over because this would not embed, but we always have a backup plan. And here it is. And there it's not, so hold on there. Is it this one right there? Enjoy.
So ladies and gentlemen, at TED we talk a lot about leadership and how to make a movement. So let's watch a movement happen, start to finish, in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons from it. First, of course you know, a leader needs the guts to stand out and be ridiculed. But what he's doing is so easy to follow. So here's his first follower with a crucial role. He's going to show everyone else how to follow. Now notice that the leader embraces him as an equal. So now it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Now there he is calling to his friends. Now if you notice that the first follower is actually an underestimated form of leadership in itself. It takes guts to stand out like that. The first follower is what transforms a lone nut into a leader. And here comes a second follower. Now it's not a lone nut, it's not two nuts, 3 is a crowd, and the crowd is news. So a movement must be public. It's important to show not just the leader, but the followers, because you find that new followers emulate the followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, and immediately after, 3 more people. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point. Now we've got a movement. So, notice that as more people join in, it's less risky. So those that were sitting on the fence before now have no reason not to. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, but they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. So, over the next minute, you'll see all of the those that prefer to stick with the crowd, because eventually they would be ridiculed for not joining in. And that's how you make a movement. But let's recap some lessons from this. So first, if you are the type, like the shirtless dancing guy, that is standing alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals. So it's clearly about the movement, not you. Okay, but we might have missed the real lesson here. The biggest lesson, if you noticed, did you catch it? Is that leadership is over-glorified. That yes, it was the shirtless guy was first, and he'll get all the credit, but it was really the first follower that transformed the lone nut into a leader. So as we're told that we should all be leaders, that would be really ineffective. If you really care about starting a movement, have the courage to follow and show others how to follow. And when you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first one to stand up and join in. And what a perfect place to do that at TED.
Awesome.
Thanks.
All right. Okay, so what's the lesson there? Have the courage to follow. So if you want to lead others, have the courage to be the first follower when it is risky, when you are unsure, but there's just something compelling about what's going on that you want to be involved. So even in your fellowship, you're leading. So that is a really important part. It's not about everyone is the leader, because that's a lot of chiefs and not a lot of Indians that get the work done, the old expression. But the followers play a critical role in any organization's success. So in a wrapped up last survey, did you learn something that you could use tonight? And to be honest, kind of, of course we have the absolutely loved it all, a few golden nuggets, which is always my target. Got to think about it. Some of us need to process. Not so much. That's fair. And any of you would prefer to have a root canal, well, hey, I can't help. Can't help everybody. Okay, a few golden nuggets, and if you can take away a few golden nuggets from this seminar, from David O'Brien's seminar on November 4th, from your classes, from any experience, think about all those golden nuggets adding up. They help to guide you and to make your life richer. I invite you to stay in touch with me. If you would like to sign up for my weekly motivational networking tips, like the ones on feedback that I showed you, I have some sheets here that you can fill out. And for those who do, I will send you 2 complimentary workbooks, The Power of Words, how using NLP representational systems can make you a better communicator. And also I do a workbook on the everyday leadership, diving in even deeper on some other aspects of leadership that will help cultivate you. Thank you very much to Target. Let's give a round of applause for the Target experience. And I'll turn it over to Lorraine.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, does anyone have any questions for Kathy? Yes.
I recently read an article. I just want to know your comment on
Okay.
it. Are leaders made or born?
The article posed the question, are leaders made or born? Everything that I have read, and certainly everything I believe, is leaders are made. They're created, they're developed. I think it's an old thought that you're born into it. Like you're born into royalty, you're born into a family line. I think all those rules have gone out the window. And so therein lies the opportunity to craft, to mold, to cultivate, to invest in ourselves and others that we care about, to build those leadership traits. So that would be I would put my poll vote there. I hope you agree. Question?
How do we get a book?
How do you get a book? Usually just by asking. So yeah, so sometimes, come on down. I'm a big fan of the boldness of asking. Of course, now you're all gonna ask, and I do have a few, but I love when people put themselves out there.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Can I have one?
There we go. You have to ask a different question.
First follower.
First follower. All right, that was good. That was good. All right, actually, you got me on first follower. Okay, this is enough of the freebies. I want some real questions.
Thank you.
Okay, question.
So I'm involved in athletics here, and I've played for it's my 5th year being here.
And you say it again?
It's my 5th year being here, so
5th year,
I've
excellent, okay.
been a leader for the past 2 years, I'd say. But I wondered if you had any points on leading without stepping over the grounds of a coach, or leading within
Great.
by
Yeah.
cousin of the team.
Okay, so you're in a team and you've got a coach, and there's some unwritten rules too. And sometimes you only find them out when you step over them. It's like, ouch. So I think having a good relationship with the coach and having an open dialogue and understanding what the boundaries are, and then maybe, of course, I'm not one to ask for permission. I'm one to make the mistake and beg for forgiveness. But he's probably your coach probably sees that in you and wants that, because that makes his job or her job a lot easier. So and I think sports generally, you're learning great team building skills, leadership skills. I think that looks great on a resume. It's a very interesting conversation to have in an interview. You can learn a lot. So can you with military experience. Military personnel have incredible leadership training, unlike the kind of training you get in sports or any other cheerleading or any other kind of activity or job. So you can get it anywhere, but you want to keep working on it. So you're an athlete, you're a student, you're also a leader, and you're also on a team. You're a team person. So great experience. But I would encourage you to ask that question and have that dialogue with your coach. Okay, others, any other questions?
I have something I'd like to share. One of the little cards I got, and I shared this with the person I was talking to, but I thought it was particularly good and it related to what you were talking about. And this card said, life isn't about finding yourself, life is about creating yourself. And that's what leadership is. You know, we're all born a certain way, raised a certain way, but once you figure out who you are and what you want to do, it's about creating that, practicing the leadership, practicing the traits that you want to embody, the things you admire in other people. And so we can all create the leader in us if we want to, through observation and modeling.
And that is most perfect close. Thank you, Lorraine. We are done. Give yourself a round of applause.